Okay everybody, this second part of the video is to look at now we're creating the angle here at 22 degrees. So what we have is, if we look at it on the screen, what we've done, we've got the length, the first thing to do is get the length from here to here, from the end of the part in to 61 millimeters in length. The correct diameter here inside our tolerance between 9.95, we're aiming for 9.99. That gives us the correct fit between H7 to G6. And what we're looking at here is we removed out this little radius that was left from the turning down tool with the parting off tool, and we created a groove in here of 5 millimeters in depth to allow us now to create the angle of 22 degrees. So we've got the full length from here back to there to be 65 long with the parting off tool. And now we're looking at doing is, the process here is to create this angle, to use the 22 degree tool, to come in here and to pare back here, this area here, paring this back to give us the tip of the drill bit right into the corner, gives an angle there to create the valve shape. So we're going to pare off that material, work our way in. So we're working our way in and removing off the side surface here from the part. And then that will give us create our angle here of 22 degrees. And then finally we're going to come in back in here again and part off the tool finally to finish. We have the chamfer done already. The half mil chamfer has been created. So just make sure you have that chamfer created. And that chamfer is between 0.5 to 0.8. It says 0.5 in your drawings, but anywhere between 0.5 and 0.8 is perfect. So let's continue on with this piece. So get the correct tool from the store. Previously we had these 45 degree tools. We've used them before in the past. And this one now has got an angle of ground at 22 degrees, and you know by the little notch on the side of it here. So make sure you use the correct size one for everything to match up. And we're going to get the tip of that form tool right in there to the corner, and we're paring back on that surface here. So set the tool height up on center again. That's the first step, as we always do. So new tool height on center. So adjusting across. Now you can also adjust here that the tip of the tip can be slightly in. Don't let it out too far. If you let it out too far, it will deflect when you're starting the machine. So it's approximately about there. You're adjusting up that height till the tip of that tool is lining up with the revolving center. So you're adjusting that up till you're on the correct height. So there we have it. We're perfectly on height. So that's that done. Now, high speed. This is high speed steel or form tool steel. So we need to reduce down our speed significantly here. So around 180 is recommended. About 180 is the perfect speed to go on here. About 180, just because it's just going to have a healing effect. So to be very clear what we're doing, we're creating an angle in here, 22 degrees. So we're machining away basically this face. That's the face, that red. We're machining away all that material to create the angle. Getting the tip of that tool right in there to the corner, and the angle will be created back here perfectly. And following the steps. So the step is then, bring the tool over, and at the reference point, you don't need the cooler this time around. So just touch the tool off the part. Okay, zero it. Just as a reference. You don't want to get it fully back to zero to ensure we're back in there in the corner. So you start lathe about 180, powering on, and then making sure you support the work, keeping everything on center. So supporting the work, everything's on center. And now you're just, visually now, you're just starting to pare back to create the angle. So I'm adjusting in now, and I'm starting to machine back. As you see, that face inside here, I am still working in till I have all that red on the flat side face of the gone. So I have to keep on going till all that, the tip of the bit is right into the corner. So you keep on going to get the tip of that tool right in to the corner. So see it's right in the corner now. And as you're right in there in the corner, the next step now is just to adjust in here at this point, give it to 0. This side. So there we have it. We can clearly see that the tool is right in on the corner of the edge. Gone right into the corner. So we've no longer a flat surface. And that's the job we have to do there in it, on our part. The final stage then is just, before I part it off, it's always good to check everything's fitting. So taking up your part, and you're checking then if everything is right, everything has been done correctly, positioned. You can see literally that those two parts are the perfect fit scenario. So they're perfectly smooth. So the hole that you drilled 2mm deep matches. So this acts as a gauge. This is your no-go gauge. So this is, if this is measured machined like so, then that gives us that thickness there between 2, so we can check to see how we have a correct depth on our part every single time in our pieces. That's the idea. Now sliding on fit our 2mm diameter. Lovely. So now the final thing to do is to part off that piece. So I'm going to remove out and pop back in our parting off tool. So again, check the tool height. We've adjusted it up and down every time. So here we have a slight bit of adjustment needed up slightly. Okay, brilliant. Back into position for machining. And because we've created that pocket, it's a lot easier now to guide it into position. It's a lot easier now that literally you can just guide that tool back into the pocket that you previously machined. It's easy to get it back in position there again. And you create that pocket. That's why we created the pocket, so you can get back into position. So now we can see the tool. Parting off tool is back in position. I'm going to adjust out the direction for the automatic feed, which is here. Pulling that lever out. Our speed set then up to 800 RPM. So at 820 RPM. I'm going to apply coolant down top of the tool. Cool it down. So we have everything completed. Chamfered, make sure it's chamfered. Diameter is checked. Angles created 22 degrees. 2mm thick. Final stage now is to part off the piece. I'm just going to support the work one last time as we part it off. Powering the lathe on. And now you're just engaging the automatic feed to part off the piece. Making sure it's on height and center. Okay, pause. Okay, firing on. This is just to support, so it's just needing to catch that part so it doesn't fall into the bin. So that's our part. It's no longer rotating, it's perfectly taken for a piece. And then decided from it, that's our part now that you have. So we can see that's our finished piece. And what happens sometimes is that the piece comes off, you get this, sometimes you could, and in other situations, get this little part out from here. If that does happen, all we have to do there is just face off that small piece, and we'll do that now. Like, pause that.